Good morning. Good morning. Welcome back to Writer's Circle. Long time no see. Hi, Carol, Jennifer, Erica, Leslie. Lovely to see everybody.
I think I can hear you now.
Yeah, better?
No, I can't.
Can you all hear me? Okay, cool. We're going to just check in on how things are going, but then special goods for today for the folks inside Writer's Circle is other media and publishing outlets, options, ideas, strategies, and a couple of companies that I've built relationships with over the years. It's all of my media comes from, so I might as well share the goods with you all. So just a quick check-in, process and product. How are we doing in our cyclical nature, and how are we doing towards our goals? Go ahead.
Oh. Did you say me? Sorry.
I'm not gonna micromanage it. We'll bustle for.
Okay. I don't know. I don't have my glasses on, so I can't see the screen. I finally finished rearranging all my chapters. So that took a while, but I still have to switch around all the in-betweens that lead out and lead ins to all the chapters, but I have notes on them. So hoping that comes quickly. And been editing a lot. The big thing that happened this week. So because it's a book about job hunting, I was actually job hunting during the whole writing of the book. So I have kind of throughout little tidbits about, well, this just happened and this just happened. But I had this huge job interview process that lasted over 6 months and they ghosted me. It was the local police department. And I wrote them a strongly worded letter in January, but I did not send it because I was like, oh, I'm just being petty. So I sent it last week. And the police chief called me last night to talk and apologize and thank me for it and said, well, there's this other job coming. Just like, it's always something. So it was nice to hear that my writing was eloquent and my letter hit home and he made some changes to his going forward, which is what I said I wanted. So yeah, so that was exciting to me. I was like, oh, finally a resolution. So
was it scary?
Writing the letter?
Yeah, sending the letter.
Sending it was scary. I had a lot more people in the original that I was sending it to, and I backed it down to just a couple key people, including the police chief, because he interviewed me to start with. And yeah, he said it was very impactful, and he hadn't thought about it, what he did. So I was afraid that I was going to walk outside and get arrested like every day. I'm like, oh no.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, mhm.
This comes up a lot. I think a lot more than we think that it does. The fear of sharing what we really think. And the consequences of calling out the police chief are, quite obvious. It's not just like, hey, you person, stranger person, you mistreated me or you hurt my feelings or anything in between. Leslie's usually, the other Leslie is usually in this call, and she posted in the community that she's seeking blurbs for her book and was really, really uncomfortable with sharing her work because the whole imposter syndrome and the fear of judgment. And I'm going to ask the people that I most respect to give me feedback about my book. And she was afraid they were going to say it was terrible, right? And what I want everybody to take away from it is, yes, it's terrifying. And what Leslie, you just shared is you got a positive reaction and you made impact because you didn't keep it to yourself, right? And Leslie Goff also immediately, I talked her through it yesterday. She put out a call for a blurb and she got an affirmation right away. Like, I can't wait to support you. I'm really looking forward to reading, da, 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 da. And I found myself saying this morning to my daughter, just because I want it to be something she hears regularly. We can do hard things. We can do hard things. This morning, hard things was just getting up, getting out of the house and being outside in time to get her ride to school. That was the hard thing, right? But we can do hard things, and starting to compile a list of whether it's your own or other people's like success in the face of fear, of like, here's the scary thing I did and here was the unexpected positive result. I want you to start building like a bank load of these things, because there will be many, many more scary things. I had coffee with somebody who's in Medellin this morning, who's writing a chapter for mental. And when he started, he was all excited about it, and he's drafted it 3 times and then got to this, oh my God, I have nothing to say. And it's so hard and da, da, da. I was like, yeah, this is the process. And it's whether we move forward in this process or get stuck. And so many people get stuck. So I want us to start gathering evidence that we could do hard things. Congratulations, this is amazing. One of the things, I did not seek blurbs for my first book, but I did for my second book. And I have, 2 or 3 pages of the things here at the beginning. Getting these was such an emotional effort. And so some of them were easy. Somebody was like, yeah, sure, no problem, easy, I'll get right back to you. People know Sharon Salzberg. She's pretty famous in the like Buddhist meditation mindfulness space. I have a blurb from Sharon Salzberg and Luann Brizendine, who's the author of The Female Brain. I'm like, okay, all right. Sarah Avant Stover, also I'm a big fan of hers. And Danielle Dulsky wrote an amazing book. She got right back to me with a yes. And my ultimate hero, Lisa Lister, said yes. But I got twice as many rejection letters. I shared every rejection letter, because when Roxane Gay emails me and says no B, I'm like, oh, I got an email from Roxane Gay. When Cheryl Strayed emails me, I'm like, I got an email from Cheryl Strayed. And we're just people, and they're just people, but we hold them in such high esteem that it weighs a lot. So regardless of what the outcome is, we can do hard things. Celebrate the wins, celebrate the losses, because it means you're trying. Yeah, okay. What else? Who else is making progress, product? How are we doing? Carol, it's all you.
So, because tennis season starting back up again, so I can only stay till 9:30. Sorry. I was asked by one of our fellow authors to read read their book. And it's such a different process for me to go through reading a book for pleasure versus reading it with like an editorial lens. And I was like, it was like 40 pages long. And I'm like, I'm going to do 10 pages a day and that's it. And then I sat down and I just read the whole thing. And I'm like, okay, now like I have one, it felt good because I could give her some feedback. And 2, it felt good because it was like, okay, I've accomplished this and now I feel really good about it. However, I still have my written goal of like, I got to finish chapters 3 and 4 this month. And I have done 0 on my book so far. And I looked at the calendar, I'm like, oh, it's the 18th. So my next focus will be back onto my book, but I do feel very kind of fulfilled in having given her some feedback and things to think about. So yeah, so it was a different kind of win and a different kind of emotion, but still progress, I think.
And the 18th is still really only half of the month. And I know personally, I flatline and then I like bleep and then I flatline again. And that is my creative cycle. And I used to be really hard on myself because I had this story that I'm supposed to do a certain amount every single day consistently over time. And that's what creativity looks like. It may be for some people, and it doesn't have to be. My energetics have just been super low recently, but that I can create a whole lot when I give myself permission to be thinking on other things, focusing on other things, and then drop in and do a whole lot, and then come back down to like my resting heart rate. So 2 chapters in about 2 weeks. And again, what's the minimum viable product? What does a chapter really mean to you? Right? What does it look like? What is, I did this thing, the first shitty draft, or are your expectations higher? You need it to be the third goodish draft.
I'm still in the shitty draft mode all the way, so.
Okay. Is there any resistance about it, or are you fully embracing the shit?
No, I actually love it because I am such a more of a perfectionist where I would write something, go back and then like edit, oh, I missed that period or I missed that comma. And I'm like, now it just kind of having the freedom, just write it, like just write it. And it's so much easier that way rather than just like nitpicking every single word that I've put on a piece of paper. So yeah, shitty draft for the win. Yeah.
I know you've had a lot of things taking your time recently. Is the morning coffee writing still in existence, or can it be revived?
It needs to be revived. Like babysitting my grandson, Sunday, Monday. And so Tuesday morning comes around and I'm just like, I'm just tired. And now I got to go play tennis. And I'm like, I don't have to, I get to. But yeah, so it's like, there's no morning. My morning coffee this morning was me sitting on the couch going, oh, I get to have a cup of coffee. So yeah, but I think it's definitely like, this is my high productivity time right here. And if I don't take advantage of it, it's a loss for me. So yeah, I definitely have to, even if 10, 15, 20 minutes, it's better to do something than nothing. So yeah.
I challenge you to carve out 3 little chunks between now and next week and see if
Okay.
you can just make those times priorities for yourself. Ideally, when they're in your high productivity time.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it takes 4 times the amount of energy to write a page later in the day.
Great. I'll do that. Thank you.
Enjoy your tennis when you have to hop off. Erica, Jennifer, Stace, how we doing?
I can go.
Okay.
So we spoke last week, I was talking about how I had 2 versions of my outline that I'm trying to weave together. I sort of came up with to kind of give a little bit more background. I am sort of writing a self-help memoir, and I'm trying to figure out what pieces are self-help and like how I weave my story in. And at this point, I'm leaning more towards being heavy on the memoir piece of it again, and maybe having an intro, like a prologue. I'm just kind of like sounding out this idea right now aloud, but just kind of saying, hi, reader. Like if you're reading this, you may have had a similar experience. You may be feeling these things. And my hope is that from my story, you can find strength and direction, and that you can end up from going from A to B. And that might be enough. And because just the people that I discuss my book with, I keep hearing from them, like, lean into your story, lean into your story. That's what you have to offer. So it's kind of been oscillating over the weeks. And it might continue to do so, but that's where I am today and the shape that my book is taking for the outline.
I love it. I saw a lot of Erica was nodding her head a lot with that. I think basically you are the master of puppets when you're writing your own book. You get to decide what it is, who it's for, and what we're here to do. It really helps the reader if you can make that super clear from the beginning, so that you are talking to that particular subset of all the people on the planet. And other people can read it. And then they can know what we're here to, this is what we're doing here, right? Like,
Mhm.
this is what we're having for dinner. This is what I made. You can eat it or not eat it, right?
And
Love you
maybe
either way.
I'll put a, a section of references in the back of the book, like
Yeah.
here are some resources, not
Yeah.
references, but resources
These are
that
the
might
books
help.
and websites and
Yeah.
tools that I needed when I was going through this. This is where I got what I got. Yeah,
But I just,
absolutely.
the idea of kind of breaking up my story and then saying like, now here's a self-help tip just didn't feel right. So, you know,
Yeah, and that's what this process is it's a self-discovery, right? It's a try it and revise and play. So I think you're absolutely on the right track and go with what feels right. That's what we're like, we come into this with so many preconceived notions about what it means to be a writer and what a good book looks like. And then we hem ourselves in and then we're like, why does writing suck? Well, because we've assigned ourselves all of these things that don't feel right. I've written whole books. I'm like, oh, didn't like that because I didn't give myself permission to be like, to notice no, that's not what I want to write about. Right.
I've been surprised by how tough this process has been. I
Hmm.
started in January in this group and I was like, oh, I'll get an outline done in no time. And I just go back to that word like amorphous in my mind. Like it's just the book could become so many different things and I just have to channel it into something and stick with it.
Yeah. Well, and channel it into something and do a light exploration and see how it feels. Right.
Mhm.
That I have to get it right and then stick with it is also a story. Right. I have to get the outline exactly right. And then I have to commit to it and never waver. It's one of the options. But if your outline needs to evolve because you've discovered something else in the process, that's okay. The outline is the container. It's not, doesn't have to be dogmatic and prescriptive and you have to do it this way.
Mhm.
It's, I'm getting this vision of like, you're a river, but you need the riverbank, right? You can move in other directions, but if there's nothing to help direct you, it just sort of.
I just read the comment from Leslie.
Right? There you go.
And I have like a small win that's sort of related. So you can see I'm at home today instead of at work. I decided to take a mental health day and told my boss when I was asking for the day off this morning, I told her about my disorder because my book is basically about my bipolar disorder journey. And so that whenever I'm at a new job, I always struggle with when and if should I tell my boss about this because it might affect my work. I might need to take some days to myself. And I didn't sleep much last night. And I was like, I'm supposed to start an experiment really early in the morning today and finish the experimental plan before I get in. And I can't push myself like that today when I haven't slept.
Yeah,
So
that's powerful.
it's all part of like also just not being ashamed. Like if I'm going to be talking about this and writing about this selectively right now, I'm kind of telling more people.
I love that. Amazing. Erica,
Yeah.
Stace, get to arm wrestle for who's next.
Yeah, so apologize for not getting myself mic'd earlier, but it's been a productive week. I've been in revisions and so currently I have one chapter completed that I have written for the book Unstoppable with Lisa Nichols. And that will be released this summer. So I have starting in May, I have marketing things and press junkets and Forbes and Fox and NBC and a couple of other things lined up. And then I will go to LA and speak on a stage with Jack Canfield about it. And so all of that is really exciting. It kind of comes around to your point of blurbs and forewords. So I'm getting ready to shell all of my idols with letters.
Yep.
To ask their participation. It's intimidating, but I feel good about it. And I feel like it's another step in putting myself and my message out there. And so I've now designed my lead magnet generator to put into my chapters and also my book. My book is, for all practical purposes, complete in the self-editing phase and will likely be ready to submit next week. I just have to make sure that that the lead generators are ready on my platform.
We don't care about that for submitting to us, but
Okay.
Yeah.
Great, great. Then it's
they
probably,
need to be ready when we hit publish, but they don't need to be ready to hit submit.
then I'm probably further ahead than I thought it was. That's fantastic news.
Yeah.
And
I literally put like the word link in my book.
that's where it is now. It's like,
Holding a space. This is where a
put
link goes.
leader, yeah, put magnetic lead here.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
kind of where it is now. So I've been working on that. And still excited about the next phase because I have no idea what I'm getting into in the publishing and marketing world. I can write now. I have a pretty good idea how to do that.
That's fantastic.
Now it's like, okay, you know that job you thought you had? It's not your job anymore. Now you got this one. And so
3 distinct skill sets to
Yeah.
get from beginning to end. Yeah.
So I'm honing my speaking skills, I'm honing my marketing and polishing my product. And I think that's all I can do at this point. So I'm excited, I'm nervous, terrified because it's all new.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm just gonna keep my hands in the ride and
doing
see,
it anyway.
yeah, and see what kind of fun I can have with it, because this should be fun. I mean, if
Yeah.
it's not fun, why am I doing it? And so, yeah, making sure that my message is resonating, that it's true to my authenticity, and then just let's do it. Let's
Yeah.
do something. And
Yeah, and it's the whole like shitty first draft is also true in marketing and speaking. We just go and try it and see what works. And that's not to say like don't have any strategy and don't use the resources that have been provided for you, but like do the best that you can and then revise it. And then do the best you can after that, because you will continue to grow and become better. But the last speech you'll ever give in your life will be a lot better than the next speech you give.
yeah,
So
and
you can do anything in between, right?
right, and giving myself that grace is really challenging because I'm not inclined to do so. And I keep laughing because I think of the Chris Farley character on Saturday Night Live. This is me, like all the time. You know, it's like I start into a speech and I like screw it up, or some post on social media and I screw it up, or I'm talking to somebody and I don't say what I really wanted to say or mean, and I'm like, it's ridiculous, but that's what you do to yourself. You know, like you're like, of
Up
course
until
not,
now.
so
Yeah.
stupid. And
Yeah,
then
that guy.
you just have these little tantrums and you're like,
Right.
I don't know, that wasn't so bad. You know, I survived it. And so,
Yeah,
and then
the tantrum is actually the problem. It's not the mistake, but it's the reaction to the
absolutely,
mistake. that
absolutely. You're
Usually
going to have
derails
challenge.
you. Yeah.
It's just a matter of what you do with them.
Yeah.
But
We need to
it's
take
been
ourselves
exciting.
a
So,
lot less seriously.
a lot less seriously, like not at all, really, because in the big picture, you know, this is all trial and error. This is a joke, but it's not a joke. At the end, we die.
Yeah.
We don't get to take any of this with us. All we have are experiences. Let's experience them. It's not all going to be, you know, we try and convince ourselves that we all want harmony. It's a lie. We lie
It'll be
to
so
ourselves.
boring.
We
That would
don't
be
want harmony.
devastatingly boring.
No,
Yeah. No.
I had this conversation in this group, I think it's especially pertinent. I had this conversation with a friend yesterday when I was talking about harmony. And everybody thinks they don't want structure, they want harmony, they just want to, sit on a beach and watch the sunrise and set.
Lobotomy and anesthetization, right? Sign
And-
me up.
And he was a man, and I'm not going to genderize this, but we can all admit, I think, that there's female and male energies. And as another man, I said, you don't want harmony. I know you don't want harmony. I said, let me take you back to your childhood. How old were you as a little boy when you thought, I wonder what it's like to get hit in the mouth? 12 was his answer. I'm
Wonder
like,
what it's like to get hit in the mouth.
yes,
This is definitely a boy thing.
I was
Every
gonna say, is that
little-
what men think about or boys think
every
about?
little boy. At some age between 8
And then you go find out, right? You're like, what do I have
Find
to do to
out.
get hit in the face?
why? You're living a perfectly harmonious childhood. And then you're like,
Wonder what it feels like to fall out of a tree. Yeah.
what
Yeah.
it feels like to get hit in the mouth. If you ask any man, they probably will give you an answer between 8 years old and 14 years old.
They know exactly when that
That's,
happens. Okay.
that's crazy, but it's our human condition. We don't want harmony. We want experiences.
Yeah.
And so let's live them.
Can I drag us back to seeking blurbs and one of the outcomes of the doing the terrifying thing? Because it's gonna fit into everything. Janice has come into this call a couple of times. Her book comes out in May. And when she reached out for blurbs, she was reaching out to the people in her industry, yada, yada. One of the leaders in her industry said, sure, I'll write you a blurb, no problem. Then he was like, well, and I'm I'm speaking at this conference. I think you should speak there. So she got a spot at the conference because she asked for a blurb. Now this person is writing the foreword to the book, got her a conference spot and got her another speaking gig. And now wants something like 500 copies of the book as soon as it comes out.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
So
amazing.
I don't want to reach out to that person because fill in the stupid blank with whatever your fear is. I'm going to reach out to this person because I want a rejection email from Roxane Gay, right? I want the people that I respect the most to email me back. Don't care what they say. The yes, the no, and refocusing the goal again with the blurb outreach when I was trying to get someone to say yes. I wasn't trying to get someone to say yes. I wanted them to email me back. I wanted 100% response rate, not 100% yes.
Did
and so
you
just
only use
choose-
people from your email list or
Oh,
how did?
hell no. Oh,
Okay.
hell no. I got internet stocky amazing.
Gotcha.
These people were not on my email
Just
list
wanted to,
at all. They are now because they wrote me back. But you have to get sleuthy and interesting. I even wrote to Brene Brown's agent. And I figured out who Brene Brown's agent was by reading the back of the book. Because we all thank our agents and all of our people. And I just read everybody's acknowledgements and stuff in the back. And I got super geeky. If an author works at a university, they have a university email. I love adjunct professors, right? Because you can find them pretty easily. And I just have innate sort of subtle stalker tendencies. So it really worked in my favor, but so looking people up and how do I reach them? Social media is one of them. You can begin to follow, comment, post, and then post about someone that you really respect and tag them in it. I highly recommend doing all of that before you just reach out and say, hey, will you do a thing for me? Because if your name is recognizable for any reason, then it gives them a reason to at least open the email or maybe even say yes. What you should not do, and this still happens to me in dating and in blurbs and in all sorts of relationship building, is bomb them with like 25 likes of posts and within 7 minutes ask for something, don't do that. Right? But that's what most people do. And so the long game is highly recommended. Who do you want to affiliate, associate with, blur before you, speak next to? Who are those people? And begin to engage with them in all sorts of ways. There is a blurb template and a short letter, like this is how to write this letter. Keep it short, keep it tight, keep it to the point. But we always tell them why we're writing to them, which is to say, your work has been incredibly valuable to me. I genuinely respect this, that, and the other thing about you. Do not just let ChatGPT do this. Make it real, make it sincere, make it vulnerable. Okay. Yeah, Erica, who do you want rejection letters from? Yes, I cannot tell you. I think I cried for joy when Cheryl Strayed was like, I wish you the best with your book. I'm not going to write a review, but I hope the best for you. I was like, oh my God. Okay. Because of all the people, she and I have like a really similar writing style. So she's my person. Not my blurber, but she's my person. Erica, check in. What do we got?
I think I was, the last time I was with y'all 2 weeks ago, I shared that I kind of took a different direction. Like Jennifer, I think I was weighing like these two different approaches, and one felt very formulaic, right? Like here's the 10 steps to enlightenment. Let's just say that. And then here's my personal stories that go along with each of those kind of 10 steps. Nothing wrong with that approach. But it just, I ended up needing to like dive in to a place in my story that was much more recent as a way to help me process what I'm going through. And really decided to focus on writing for my own healing rather than being so concerned about the process. And it was like, it was really funny because I was like, oh, this is where the story needs to start for my readers too. And so it's really, it's great because I think the last 2 weeks, I've been just writing. I'm not following an outline. I mean, it's still there. It's, and I want to go back to it. Not just need, I do want to go back to it. But right now I'm just writing for me and it feels right. And I actually feel like I'm making creative connections that I was struggling with when I was so focused on the structure. Yeah, so I'm excited about it. I've felt like I don't know that I've felt the creative energy of the writing, the actual writing. And I feel connected to that now. And so yeah, that feels really great. And then the other thing is I started listening to a book that really spoke to me in terms of both how the author is telling the story as well as some of the themes of the story. So it's kind of, I don't know, it's validated in a way. What you were talking about, Jennifer, too, like how do we center our story in the ways that people can recognize maybe a similar experience, but not the same experience, right? And so anyway, the author really laid it out in that way, in a way that I really appreciated and I'm learning from. And I love that Sierra has helped me recognize that that is also writing, right? Is part of the process of listening and all of that. So that's where I am. I also am planning to do, I'm treating myself to a writing retreat in June with a friend of mine who actually does writing coaching. And so I'm going to go to Seattle for a few days, hole up, not work, hopefully be like in a place right next to the ocean and in nature and get all of that good juju and then be able to, Leslie, maybe, yes, well, there you go. So I know I was gonna go in April and she's like, it's still cold. And I was like, I need warmth. So I'm gonna wait until June. But yeah, so that's my updates.
I love it. When you all get together for coffee, take a picture. Like virtual people find themselves in the
Yep.
real world together. That's fantastic. I think we can get hung up in the structure and the intellect of writing and overthink it and lose that space of like, this is fun. I'm enjoying this, even if fun means I'm writing about something that I have not fully healed yet. And fun can be weeping and snot and going through all of like the next layer of stuff. I actually think that's fun because it's liberating when we're done. There, I want you to play with oscillating between the structure and the intellect, and then what feels good and what you're drawn to. And then when you need more momentum or redirection, then you rely on that and then you go back. Okay, that's the masculine feminine flow. And the moon's not going to tell you, and I'm not going to tell you where you should be at any certain time, but I want you to be aware that you have all of these resources at your disposal for your greatest creation, right? This is why when I say like, what feels good, like do that. If you're not inspired and writing feels like popping a pimple and you're just trying to push really hard until something comes out, that's not the greatest, right? It's not a great process and it's usually not a great product. So there's all these ways you can work on your book. Do you need to be working on your book by resting? Do you need to be working on your book by planning? Do you need to be working on your book by drafting or in some sort of revision or debriefing the process? You can always be working on your book. If what you're trying isn't working, try something else, right? And I think we have this story of like, oh, I should just be more disciplined. So we do more of what's not working. We double down on what sucks. And that's definitely not a strategy that I've definitely practiced it, but I won't advocate for it for too long. We feel like we're getting stuck. And so we do more of what got us stuck and don't understand why we're still stuck. So when you discover what that feels like, I want you to use that as your like new true north. Just be like, okay, that's what the first draft is always for you. It's to help you figure out what you're here to say. It's for you to do another layer of healing. It's for you to, the hell am I trying to talk about? Can't always know it. We can outline it a bit, but then we need to go on the journey and figure it out. So I love that. Fantastic. I always really appreciate to hear people grappling and exploring and having successes and facing fears and acknowledging like, oh my God, there's so much to this. I met a new person today and I just said like, we bring the emotional awareness to this publishing process. It's like, well, that's revolutionary. Instead of just like, here's your deadline, here's your timeline, here's what's due next, go ahead, figure it out. We're grappling with all of the process. I feel like writing a book is, you can give me your own number, but for me, it's about 4.5 years of therapy. Each book is cramming that amount of self-awareness and personal growth and, healing into however long it takes to draft the manuscript. If you have a different number, feel free to share it. For me, or 34. Yeah. Into a single 100-page leaflet. I want to shift gears and spend the last 20 minutes or so talking about other places where you can be sharing your story. Not prescribing you to do it now, but I want you to have this in your arsenal of tools. This is really timely for Stace. But for when you want to be working on your book, but maybe don't want to be working on your book, want to be connecting with your audience, want to be growing your visibility, want to be sharing and exploring, sort of like, I get this vision of like playing in the mud, right? Like put on your rubber boots and just go splash around in the mud. I feel like writing articles is this way to test your voice, find your audience, create a little visibility and momentum for yourself as a burgeoning author, and also test a theory. Whether you're writing something on LinkedIn, whether it's a blog post, there's lots of places where we can put sort of short form. This is me. This is what I'm thinking about. This is what I'm grappling with. But in the full course of becoming an author, media is one of the tools that you can use to help reach more people. Over the years, I found a handful of really easy, accessible media outlets that I want to share with you so that you can A, have them in mind, B, when you're like, I just want to make something really short and share it and see if that can like create a little momentum or enthusiasm in my life. Everybody should have the same way we have like our ideal blurb things, what media sources are the right fit for you and your topic, you and your work. I want you to be thinking about, where do you want to see articles published by you? Not just you personally, but where will your ideal reader be looking for answers to their questions? Okay, can you have a think? Are they online magazines, print magazines, newspapers, blogs, podcasts? Where are the people that you're talking to already hanging out? Where do you get your information? Think, drop 3 titles, 3 locations, whether they're websites or whatever, communities. Where do you get your information? Drop something in the chat so I have a sense. Yep, LinkedIn. There's a lot of tools in LinkedIn for connecting people, for sharing information, for creating content and engaging with folks. What else? And once something's published somewhere, you can then share it again, right? If you have an article published, Substack, I need to understand how Substack works a little bit better. I haven't wrapped my brain around it. I keep hearing people talk about it. Anybody else? LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, okay. That's social media for the most part. Stace, do you have, let's air quotes, mainstream media? Okay. The way that I went through this, you can emulate, copy, or absolutely reject my approach. Completely up to you. The way I went about this is I asked myself 2 questions. Where do I like getting information? And where are my people, my ideal audience, getting information? Okay. Venn diagram. Okay. Where do I get information and where is my audience getting information? You can do market research. You can ask ChatGPT. You can put a poll on Facebook. If you're looking for solutions to this, where do you go? Okay. I then found sometimes I found new media sources, or I actually just found how to reach out to these media sources. Medium is good. And then I started applying or writing and submitting, and over the years, probably lost track, but I'm gonna estimate in the last 6 years, maybe like 20 pieces of articles, features, or I'm commented, quoted in X, Y, and Z in like 20 things. Not a huge number, but it's also 20 more than 6 years ago, right? And so really thinking about, no, it's more than 20, definitely more than 20. Because now I have a monthly article that I write for a magazine. So then you can build relationships with certain outlets and become a regular writer for blah, blah, blah. If you're a regular writer for Forbes, that carries some weight, right? If you've published a magazine here, or published an article in this magazine, or been featured here, that carries weight energetically for you, but also SEO, blah, blah, blah. And it's a way for you to find your people so that when you have a book launch or a service launch of any kind, you've built up your email list, you've created this like wider net. Okay. One of the authors we're working with is really aiming for a New York Times bestseller. And so I reached out to the PR agency that we collaborate with, and I said, do you have New York Times bestseller experience? And they're like, yeah, we've done that a couple of times. But the reaction was that person already needs to have their own audience. They need to have built and created their own. No amount of PR will just get you onto the New York Times bestseller. You need to build it. Okay. So I want to share with you a couple of resources, very easy, low-hanging fruit places where you could, if it's the right place for your topic and your audience, you can apply and submit to get something published in the next 2 or 3 months. Okay. So I'm going to just list off a couple. I'm going to add more details with the replay, with links and all of that stuff. This is for people. I'm not sharing this with the whole audience in our community because a lot of them are in the free space. This is special for you all. Okay, so we'll keep it sort of close. If they want to go find it for themselves, they're welcome to. But I have been published in almost everything that I'm going to mention to you. The Elephant Journal is Mind, Body, Spirit out of Colorado. The kid who started it, who's not a kid anymore because he's fully grown, he taught me how to play Super Mario Brothers in the basement of a meditation retreat center in Vermont. That's not why you should explore it, but they have a very easy way of submitting an article, getting it published, and having it out in the world. If their audience is also your audience, you can explore the Elephant Journal. Thrive Global is sort of a more open source under the Huffington Post kind of space with a lot of current events, but mind, body, wellness, better world kind of stuff. Brains Magazine is a magazine that I write for and have, especially for entrepreneurs and that kind of people who are in the building a better world space. One of the things that I'm gifting to people in our community is one of these article spots. So if you're interested in talking about getting an article published there, reach out to me. Let's get you locked and loaded. We'll set you a schedule and what the submission guidelines are, and then we'll get that going. I just got a request from Women's Quarterly, which is a women's magazine that comes out quarterly, as the title suggests. And they're looking for regular contributors as well as occasional submissions. So that's something to reach out to me about if you're interested in. And then Bold Journey and Voyager does a lot of individual sort of features on people doing cool things in the world. Feels a tiny bit like Vanity Press, but you don't pay for it. They send you, so I've been featured there. I've been asked to do 3 different things. 2 of them have been published and one's in review. They send you a form to fill out. It's sort of like choose your own adventure interview questions. And then you fill it out and then they put together a feature for you and it comes out pretty easy. It's free. And they're always asking me to connect them with cool people. So,
Kiara, I'm sorry, which one was that?
it's a sort of conglomerate of different media sources. Bold Journey and Voyager are both online magazines out of Southern California. But yeah, and I think they have like partner media focuses too. One's like more artistic and one's more entrepreneurial and one's more, so you can just sort of bounce around. There's a woman in our community who runs a magazine called Her Nation, also female leaning. And then I built a relationship with an executive contributor for Forbes magazine. She's a journalist out of the UK. She did a number of workshops with our community that are available in the replay space, really about how to pitch to mainstream media and how to, once you have a book, convert your chapter topics into media pitches. I then teach how to convert your chapter topics into keynotes. So then you have all these different ways that you do not have to start from scratch. So many authors get to a place where they're like poured their heart and soul into their manuscript, and then they're like, I don't know what to write about. That's because you think you have to start from zero. You do not use what you've already done and repurpose it. Every chapter, every event can be made into 5 or 7 different things. Every chapter could be a social media post, a keynote, a media feature, a meme, right? Like a tweet. What are all the different ways that you can express this same idea, problem, story, arc, solution, yada, yada, right? If you took the time to say that this is an important thing and you did all the thinking and organizing to make it a chapter, it can have all its other pieces. You do not have to do this now. I don't mean to be overwhelming you. I want to open up your vision of what's possible and realize, oh, I don't have to reinvent the wheel. I just need to restructure what I already have. Does that make sense? A little bit.
Question. So I don't really know anything about the publishing world, but is it a thing that if you publish something somewhere, like let's say you publish a blurb or like a chapter in a blog, is it possible that someone might tell you that's already been published, we can't publish that now? I had someone in like who has published a book tell me that. So is that true or did I get it wrong?
Cool. Let me. Okay. Collaborative book we put out last year. My chapter, I think I added 2 chapters here actually, but I originally wrote this chapter in another book and republished the whole thing word for word.
Is that certain publishing companies might have different rules?
I wrote to them and I said, I would like to republish this.
Okay.
My standard answer is you absolutely can. You just say originally published in, reprinted with permission from.
Okay.
Okay. And it's good to ask for permission. So I did. Yeah. So here's my chapter. Okay. It was the first thing the first chapter I ever had published was this. At the very end, I just added originally published in, okay, which in my opinion makes me more badass rather than less badass. And twice the credit for the same amount of work. Okay.
Okay.
Every publication has its own rules. So for example, Elephant Journal will read it in their submission guidelines, cannot be republished word for word, must be at least 40 or 60% original content. Every publication has its own sort of guidelines, but if you publish in Forbes, you can probably republish on LinkedIn, right? You just say like, here's the article I had published in Forbes. Same thing. If you're published in the New York Times, you can post on Facebook that this is your article, right? That is your thing. If you are a staff writer for a certain place, it may be different. But if your name is under the by, like the byline is yours, it's your content, it's your idea. I highly recommend so Stacey's writing a chapter for our men's mental health collaborative. If he likes the chapter that he writes and wants to include it, in an article, in a future book. It's his content. Those are his words, his ideas, his heart and soul. He can take it word for word, or he can take it in part to write something else and publish in another place, as long as it meets those criteria. So it's not 100% one yes or no. It's really
Okay.
like, what are the rules of the 2 places that you've been published?
But I basically shouldn't hold myself back from posting something on Substack or something for fear that later I can't publish it again, because I could always rework it, or, I should get myself
If-
out there.
If it's plagiarism, don't post it at all. If it is your original thought,
Right.
post it anywhere and everywhere, and then if it needs to be massaged, massage it.
Okay.
Yes. That idea of I can't post because then I won't be able to share later is a fear tactic and not a thing. If it's yours, it's yours. And people ask this often, and actually it comes up regularly. Somebody posted in the community even recently of, I want to protect my idea.
Mm.
And people's reaction to protecting their idea is to not share it. But if worst case scenario, we're in a copyright dispute, who had this idea first? If it's posted somewhere, it's published somewhere, you had it first, you shared it. You want that time-stamped internet external thing, not just I had this idea and I sat on it for 6 years, right? Copyright law doesn't care. They care about when it enters the world. If that makes sense.
I have another question, but there might not be adequate time
That's okay.
to
We
talk
have 2
about
minutes.
it.
Let's-
So
let's see what we
it's
can-
it's kind of squirreling in another direction. But so if you're writing memoir material and you want to change identifying features of somebody,
Yeah.
let's say I don't know. That's maybe a conversation for another time, but
It is.
I'm struggling with where to start when it comes to, like, I want to talk about my divorce.
Yeah.
And how can I do that without, like, people will know,
Yeah.
who know me will know who I was married to. So
Tag Brandy Melker, who has
Okay.
my last name but is not related to me.
okay.
She wrote a book called The Break. It is
Okay.
explicitly about her divorce. And her
Okay.
ex-husband is not thrilled about it, but at the same time, she didn't accuse him of anything that he didn't do, and she was really, really kind to him in the book. But he's, but ask her about it, because she even was like, I could change his name, but everyone knows that
Right.
her husband's name was Tim, right? Like, it's not going to be a surprise. General rule, real quickly though, is for mass consumption, change core features about them, where they're from, what career they had, how old they are, what color hair they have.
Because only the people that know me will really know who he was.
Exactly.
is- yeah.
And from a like litigation standpoint, if someone says, you wrote badly about me, like, yeah, but this is about a woman, right? But if you say that this is you, then you're admitting that that's you.
Mhm.
I didn't put your name, your address, your career, how long we were married. You are claiming this, and that's all on you. If you change something, if this is an accountant and not a plumber, right? Somebody you met on vacation instead of the kid you grew up with.
He is an accountant, by the way, and he has a plumbing
Sorry.
license. So you're like on a psychic vibe with me right now.
Anyway, don't let him have any of those attributes, right? He's got a big mole on his face, whatever. Okay, give him something that's not his, change the character. We're writing nonfiction, but we have permission to expand it. That's the general rule. I have to hop off, but before I do, I want to ask if anybody is going to take action or consider taking action in terms of other media publication stuff in the near future. Leslie is, Erica is, Stasis. Awesome. Okay. Keep it in mind for the future. And let's make it happen. I will share comments and links to all the things that I mentioned, because you can Google some of them. They're just super easy. And if it's easy, there's no reason not to be doing it. Right. go do the Shibby draft. I'll see everybody soon. And Jennifer, we can keep circling back on this topic because it comes up a lot.
Thank
Okay.
you. Okay,
Thanks,
bye-bye.
guys. Bye.